Hey, what's going on guys? Chad Christopher here and welcome to another build video. So today we're building some Hexagon shelves. That's right, man, some decorative floating Hexagon shelves. I've seen these in people's homes and I've always just thought they look so cool and so just nice. Like something that, I don't know, you go to Target and you buy. Like, you don't build these yourselves, who can build these? And then of course now that I'm into this, I'm like, yeah, I can build one of those. I can build one. So if you're new to the channel, I'm a beginning woodworker, just kind of figuring it out as I go, and I'm excited to see if I can do this. Now I am kind of following a video tutorial from someone else. I'm following a video by, I think the channel name is Mr. Build It. That video will be linked down in the description below. He has a fantastic video on it, great tips, and I will share all those with you. I just want to see if I, as a beginner, can build this. And listen, I'm feeling pretty good about it. So first thing is, we headed off to Home Depot to grab the boards. You're gonna need a 1" by 6" by 6 foot board for each shelf. All right, so we're just here at Home Depot grabbing some boards, and these are the 1 by 6 6-foot boards, and just the common boards are $6. So you can make this super cheap. You just kind of have to finish these boards a little bit more. If you want to start with something that is super clean, obviously you can go, you know, any of these hardwoods like oak and walnut and stuff. You can also come over here to pine boards for like $18.50. So it's obviously more expensive. It's 3 times the price, but you've got a finished level, really nice quality board. So I'll probably do one of those for this build. Interjection here, don't go with pine, go with common board. So I found out the hard way that pine is much more difficult to stain. It's very porous wood, apparently, creates blotches. Very similar to this. I mean, pine can certainly be stained. It can look very beautiful. It just requires a lot more steps, as I found out the hard way. So don't go with pine. To make it easy on yourself, unless you know what you're doing with pine, just go with common board. So I completely restarted this with common board. So yeah, save yourself the trouble. Back to your regularly scheduled program. While I was at Home Depot, I did grab a couple other things for this build. I picked up 3 sheets of 1 by 6 by 6 pine. I got some all-purpose nails. I got some sawtooth hangers. I got some sandpaper. We got some tape, which I'll show you why in just a bit. We got some Titebond Ultimate Wood Glue. And then I also got some ratchet straps. Can you even see that? Yeah, I got some ratchet straps. And then I got the real essentials. Let's get started. Now you don't need all those things. Those are just things I needed around the shop, and you know, they're gonna make my life a little bit easier on this, but you'll see that as we go. Now tools wise, you are gonna need a saw. You can do it with a hand saw, but it probably would be pretty difficult. So I'd recommend at least a circular saw, or ideally something like this miter saw. We're gonna be cutting at 30° and 150° angles, or just 30° and then flip the board in 30 degrees. So ideally, a circular saw or a miter saw will do you fantastic. Some sort of sandpaper to sand it down, maybe some stain if you want to finish it, and you're gonna need some glue to glue it all together. So let's stop talking and let's dive in. Let's do this. All right, so I'm just gonna cut off this very end of the board at a 30° angle to start out with. So there's my first 30° cut. So I want these pieces to be 9 inches. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark 9 inches right there. We'll get that right on, and then I'm just gonna take a speed square, make a straight line, and then we're gonna cut from there, we're gonna cut the opposite direction. Just so I don't have to keep flipping the saw back and forth, I'm just gonna flip our piece of wood here, keep it set at what it's set at. Okay, and so there's our piece. Move the scrap out of the way a little bit. You can see we've got 9 inches along the top long side, so we're gonna make 6 identical pieces just like this. All right, so just to verify here, this is our piece we just cut, and we're pretty dang close to that 9-inch mark. I also didn't realize that I had the stupid sticker on there still. So what I'm doing here, by the way, is I'm taking the initial one that I cut that I verified is right on 9 inches, and then I'm just gonna flip this over so I can keep the board and the saw all set up the same. And I can line up the long piece next to the long piece here, make sure that they're both straight along this fence. Then I can just scribe along this and get my cuts. All right, so there's our 6 boards. We have a little bit left over in case, you know, one of them doesn't fit or something. We've got room for one more backup board. Now on some of these edges, I did get a little bit of that tear out. I mean, I don't really know what to do about it. I was trying, but I mean, it's not that huge of a deal. I am gonna sand all this in the end, so I'm not super worried, but just, I don't know, be conscious of that, I guess. Step 2 is remove stickers. So I've just got these things kind of leaning up against each other just to see if they'll match up, and pretty much all of them are matching up. Here's some of that tear out I was talking about, by the way. So I'm probably just gonna flip this around and make sure all that is facing the back wall. But pretty much all the joints are lining up. This one board is just coming up a little bit kind of short and twisted on both sides. So I think I am gonna use this insurance board, make one more, and then yeah, we'll move on. Okay, so now that we've got all of our cuts made, we've got our 6 pieces here, we're liking the way that they're kind of lining up with each other. How we're gonna assemble these is with glue. Now, we're gonna put glue onto the end grains and kind of create that shape, but if you know much about end grains, from what I've seen online, end grain kind of soaks up glue. It doesn't really stay on there and act as an adhesive. There's kind of like pores almost. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some of this glue. This is the cheaper glue, by the way, and I'm just gonna run just a small bead along the front here, kind of spread it out with my gloves. And what we're trying to do is just clog those pores. So we don't want a ton on there, just enough to cover this with a thin sheet. And I'm gonna go do the other one. And essentially, we're just trying to create a barrier for those pores. So clog everything up. That way, when we throw on our ultimate glue here, which is actually going to hold everything together, it has like a solid base to adhere to rather than getting stuck in that end grain. So yeah, just a little tip from that other guy, which I think is fantastic. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes or so. This stuff is pretty quick to dry. So we've got these all laid out sort of on their belly. So the shorter side is down on the ground, as you can see, and then I've done my best to line them up edge to edge so they're touching pretty solidly. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some masking tape here, and I'm going to run a few pieces of this along this back side here. So start there. So I'm gonna run 3 pieces, I think. Okay, and then we're gonna flip this over. Try and, I don't know what the best way to do this is, like, put these things on the back, just like that. Okay. They stayed pretty good. One thing I forgot to mention is I did make sure to keep all of those tear outs that I showed you on one side, so those will go up against the wall. Now, in these openings here, I'm gonna take this tight bond. Again, this is the ultimate one, so you know, I didn't use this on the insides because I didn't really need it, but I'm gonna use the ultimate so I can have as much strength as possible. So we're gonna throw a pretty solid amount in here. Okay. Now, here comes the interesting part. We are going to just roll this up. And we're gonna get a lot of glue spill out. Don't worry about that. We're gonna come back in after this is all dried and sand all that excess glue off. Now we want these edges to obviously meet up the best as possible. Oh gosh, I didn't put any glue on the edges, guys. Oh no. Oh no. Don't forget this part. Oh God. I don't know how we're gonna keep this from gluing to the table. Okay, so we've got this pretty good. And then I'm just gonna take a couple more pieces of masking tape here. And I'll set this down maybe for a second. And then we just wanna put this back together. Okay, so I just added 3 more pieces of masking tape on that joint. Now here's the last step. You don't have to do this, but that dude did it, and I think it's a pretty good point. So take a ratchet strap here, and then we're gonna take that ratchet strap around. What it's gonna be essentially doing is squeezing all these joints together as that glue dries. All right, so you don't want to put a ton of pressure that it, you know, breaks it or anything, but enough pressure, let's go. That it's sort of keeping it all intact there. Beautiful. All right, so I'm just gonna wipe off what I can here, but like I said, I'm not super worried about the excess glue, as we are gonna run some sand all over this, but it's like, you know, why make us sand more than we have to? All right, so at this point, you're generally waiting overnight for this to cure. We don't have that kind of time. We're trying to release a video every day. So the bottle says 30 minutes to dry, ideally longer. So I'm gonna let this sit while I move on to something else, but we're gonna end up probably finishing this shelf tonight. So, yeah. Okay, so it's been about 2 hours. I'm gonna go ahead and sand the inside of this, and we'll take these off, sand the outside. We'll see what we're working with. All right, so I sanded that all with 220. Got rid of really everything, and very smooth finish. Love it. All right, let's take this top off here. All right, we've got the tape off. Everything seems pretty solid here. At this point, before you sand the exterior, if you have access to a brad nailer, just like throwing 2 nails into each seam would definitely increase the weight capacity and just the overall strength of this. I don't have one. I'm just gonna go ahead and trust this glue. You know, I'm not gonna be putting anything heavy on these, but if you plan to put something heavy on here, definitely try out some brad nails. But yeah, I feel pretty good about this, man. This thing is super freaking solid right now. Let's go ahead and sand this thing down. All right, all that's left is to stain this thing up. You know, you can throw on like a pre-coat if you want. I'm just gonna go straight up with this dark walnut finish. A lot of the wood in our house is pretty dark, so I'm gonna go ahead and stain this, and then I'm gonna clear it. Okay, now that we're all stained up, I will say that the glue did not sand off very easily. I don't know if that's because I went with, I don't know where it's at, that ultimate glue. I feel like that's just like a lot more hardcore glue that is difficult to sand off. Honestly, if I was to do this again, what I'd probably do is stain the individual pieces, and then I'd put it all together. I mean, you can see sort of in the cracks and things like that, even, you know, even like this where the glue didn't run out, you can obviously see where the stain didn't take, and it was in all those glue spots. So yeah, lesson learned, but if you guys are gonna do this, clean that glue off really well, or stain before you glue it all together. In any case, how we're gonna hang this thing is just these little sawtooth hangers. I got a pack of them at Home Depot for, I don't even know, a couple bucks or something like that. The thing is, they come with these just little baby like 1/2 inch nails, not maybe even 1/4 inch nails. You know, we want a little more girth since this is a shelf. So I just got these just general nails. They're 1.25 inches. So they're, you can see the difference. I mean, they're significantly longer. They've got a fat head so they can hold that in place really well. But that's just gonna give us, you know, a little bit more stability since we're gonna be hanging things on this shelf. So let's go ahead and find center here. That's how that's looking on the back. All right guys, so we got the shelves home. I think they look really great, man. I mean, considering all the issues we had with finishing and stuff like that, the build itself was super simple. I mean, the longest part was just waiting for the glue to dry, but the finishing is definitely what got us. I hope you learned from some of my mistakes, but overall, I'm still really happy with them. To hang this, all I did was put one of those 1.25 inch nails into a stud. So I've got a stud on both these. And from the video I was watching, that's why they built these at 9 inches on each section. So you can have about an inch gap between and hit like 16 inch on center studs. Overall, super happy with the way they came out. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the thumbs up, that'll help me out a bunch. This is a new woodworking style channel, so I can use all the support I can get. Subscribe if you are new around here. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions or suggestions, and if you want to see any other types of builds. So we've got more builds coming at you, hopefully every single day this month, but definitely tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Peace out.